Hello, my name is A.Miller, and I am the Director of Volunteer and Patient Relations at UPMC Home and Cancer Center. Today, I am excited to share a project with you that will enhance communication between the volunteers, the volunteer supervisors, and the volunteer office. It is with hope, too, that the implementation of this project will lead to greater volunteer satisfaction and volunteer retention. So this project transpired after coming to the realization that what we were doing was simply not working to serve the intended purpose. The volunteer evaluation form and the delivery of this form was outdated and it was very time consuming. It was time to revisit this process and this form in order to best serve our volunteers and those who work with them. The volunteer evaluation is a regulatory requirement for our healthcare facility. So the next step was taking a deep dive into this communication problem, researching what content is required to be evaluated and where we have some flexibility with the content. It was also important to us to be able to offer a self-evaluation to the volunteers during their performance review. Self-reflection is an important part of growth and gives an opportunity to express some personal feedback and pride in the work that they do. So the addition of a self-evaluation form to accompany the traditional evaluation form was also something that was added to this project list. The communication project proposal was prepared and then presented to Dr. Grant at RMU and the Senior Director and Volunteer Coordinator at Hillman. With acceptance of the proposal, the work began on this project. The project was broken up into two main phases. The first phase being the development of the form, and the second phase being the implementation of the form and the new process. The first phase included research, information gathering from the users, and confirming again what was necessary and what was optional. This part of the process was fairly seamless with a few expected scheduling conflicts and hurdles when working with other departments. The first phase also built into the collaboration with the IT team that would be assisting with the transition from the form in paper format into the digital process. In the initial discussions with IT, it was identified that it would make the most sense to try and use some of the resources that we currently have available to us in our organization instead of starting from scratch with a new web form. So we set up a time to conduct a very surface level training on a how-to on using the specific application in Microsoft Office that they were referring to. So this plan makes perfect sense, and it was really exciting to watch IT breeze through the computer, showing all the different options that can be used in this application. However, not knowing that this was going to be the plan, there wasn't a learning curve time built into the initial proposal. So that was not accounted for. That did take some time learning the software. However, this was still a really big win. It was not what was envisioned early on in the process, ended up being a little bit different, but in the long term, this plan makes the most sense because the volunteer office will have greater control in small changes and not have to engage the IT team whenever something needs updated. So they'll have a lot more options to tweak as the process and as time goes on and things change. The options for multimodal communication on this platform is truly amazing. We were able to insert images that are directly related to the topic. For example, a pet therapy team. We have a photo of an actual pet therapy team while they're visiting a facility implemented on the form that they will be using for the pet therapy volunteer evaluation. So it's exciting to see that. It's not just something I imagine when we first began working on updating this communication tool. So at this point, we're finishing up phase 1 of the project and nearing phase 2, which that will be rolling out the document with a select group of volunteers and volunteer supervisors. And as the volunteer office receives feedback from this first group and receives the suggestions that things that should be changed or maybe aren't working so well, we will make those changes and then begin to roll this out for all of the volunteer roles. So going from a very bland, outdated form and tool process that to something that is much easier to use, incorporates various shapes and colors and real photos of real volunteers is just very exciting, and I'm really excited to get this process started. The new form will be delivered to the receiver's email with a link, and then the form will then, once completed, will automatically be submitted to the volunteer office account, again eliminating another step in that long process that we were using previously. This is a significant improvement from passing that paper back and forth. So here you can see a snapshot of an older version of the evaluation form, and side by side with a new image of what the receiver will see. And this is, a picture in the background of an of the facility with an actual volunteer smock. So that will be familiar for the patient and family volunteer role. And then, for example, down here we have the pet therapy role, and we have pet therapy team there. And then the laboratory, we have some images that would be relevant for the laboratory volunteers. And then the self-evaluation and feedback form is the newer form that we have just recently created to accompany the traditional annual evaluation form. So we're really excited, and you can see going from this black and white form to having these images and these colors will be much nicer for all of the users. Thank you so much for allowing me to share this project, and we're really excited to put it into motion. Thank you.